Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. The first story is called Personal Cell Phone for Business. Some years ago, back when Skype was the most advanced meeting tool around, I was the most junior person on a team of 5 working on a large international project. Though I was there to help with the technical aspects of the job, a number of administrative tasks also ended up in my lap. Things like scheduling and connecting meetings and so on. And this was even though there was an administrative assistant on the team. That's because the admin assistant was downright unhelpful and the team lead was frustrated with her and taking it out on the rest of the team. For example, I'd been with the team for almost 4 months and they still hadn't sorted out a desk or cube for me. I was literally doing my work with a work laptop, sitting in a coffee shop and using my cell phone. One day, the senior technical officer announced that he would go to a tiny Pacific island state for a week-long trip. He had to sort out a mess on an older project he'd been involved with that had gone sideways. This leaves for a 48-hour flight time to there on a Saturday. On Monday, the team lead sends everyone on the team an email saying we'll do a weekly check-in call instead of a meeting on Wednesday afternoon. He asked me to set up the call and connect everyone. I reply almost immediately, asking if I can borrow someone's desk for the duration of the call. Otherwise, it would cost $6.50 per minute for me to call Samoa from my cell phone, versus using a desk phone at work, which all costs are automatically paid for. He replies, copying the admin assistant, telling me to talk to her. Over the next couple of days, I asked the admin assistant for a desk or a cube for an hour on Wednesday. No. Can she connect the call instead? No. How about me coming over, connecting the call on her phone and then leaving? No. Does she have any suggestions? No. It's Wednesday morning and I don't have a solution. So I call the team lead and he thinks I've been insufficiently creative and just snarkily replies, just use your phone. I remind him it will be hugely expensive, but he's angry with the admin assistant and with me by extension and just says we'll sort it out later. So I make the call from my phone, connecting all 5 of us. It's supposed to be a 30-minute call. It ends up being over 70 minutes. And then the senior technical officer in Samoa says, by the way, I think I'm going to have to stay another week. There's a contract dispute as well as a technical issue with the project. No problem, we'll do the same call again next week. Same time, same way, says the team lead. I start right after that call with trying to find a way to call from a desk phone, but no joy. I again plead with the team lead to let me just use someone's office for an hour for the call. No joy. So off we go to another 50-minute call on Wednesday. The cell phone bill closed on Tuesday of the second week and I get it on Thursday. So on Friday I submit an expense request for the 470-ish in charges, plus 10% taxes and fees. My team lead's manager immediately rejects it and sends a message to my team lead asking what the heck happened here. The team lead tries to throw me under the bus. I reply with a chain of emails and make it abundantly clear that this is a reimbursable cost and they have to pay. The manager is mad, but begrudgingly agrees, telling me it's a one-time thing. Well, actually, we had a second call yesterday, and that's on the next month's bill. That will be around $400. Had they let me use a desk phone for the 2 hours, the cost would have been about $20. And it would have been picked up by the company's central telephone budget instead of having to be paid out of the team's budget. I quit the team about 3 weeks later, when the admin assistant started trying to assign me work. The next story is called Extra Sauce. I was working a closing shift alone at a pizza shop, minus the drivers on delivery. I wouldn't say that I really had developed the same sense of urgency I have as an adult now to maintain employment. But granted, I didn't get fired for this. A lady comes in and orders a regular 14-inch cheese pizza with extra sauce to go. At the little family-owned shop I worked for, the menu item extra sauce operationally meant that we used a larger ladle to scoop and apply the sauce. I would come to find that this proportion was not sufficient for this lady. After making her first pizza, I hand it over and she opens the box to inspect it at the counter. I can see that she's not happy with it. Fluently in rude American, she says, "Honey, I know you work at a pizza place, so this is probably hard to understand for you, but I ordered extra sauce on this pizza." She doesn't leave me much room to speak and tells me I need to remake her pizza with extra sauce this time and have it delivered to her place. I'm 100% salty, but I decide to take her address and arrange a comped pizza. As soon as she left, I got to work on my masterpiece. Now the lady ordered her 14-inch pizza, but I instead opted for a 16-inch dough over a 14-inch screen, allocating the excess dough to the crust for reinforcement. Next, I open a new can of pizza sauce and I pour it directly into the dough mountain I just made. It's a pond at this point. For emphasis, as I lift this pizza puddle off of the sauce station, it is noticeably heavy. I have to walk slowly to avoid swishing the sauce everywhere. I would guess it weighed about 4 pounds, and the sauce was 3 to 4 inches or so thick. I put some cheese on top, and I have to run it through our oven about 3 times to even get it to cook. It finally cooks, and I pack it up. But I can't cut it, because obviously the sauce will run everywhere. I did incorrectly assume that anyone else handling this pizza would be able to make that judgment as well. In hindsight, I had the benefit of being there when the sauce was literally dumped on it. So maybe leaving a note advising the customer to not cut the pizza would have been more holy or whatever. I hand the soup to the driver. He doesn't think this is funny and has to hold it in his lap the whole time to keep it from spilling. 15 minutes later or so, after delivery, I get a call. It's the angry Midwestern lady, and she's really mad this time. I gather from our conversation that she made an attempt to slice that pizza and made quite a mess for herself in the process. I didn't say anything funny or witty back, I just gave her the number to use for complaints, but internally I thought it was hilarious. She sent a scathing review of my masterpiece, which was printed at the station next to me and was promptly shredded that evening. The third story is called The Best $2 He Had Ever Spent. I had a pretty good tech support job in the late 90s at a cool place to work. Since we had on-call rotation, we had some nice perks. The company paid for a second phone line. Dial-up modems were still the thing. They also paid up to X amount of dollars a month towards a cell phone or provided a company cell phone. The only constant thing has changed. The company was bought up by a large conglomerate. As the Borg assimilated us, they announced that they would no longer pay for personal cell phones, and the company ones would only be given to those at the manager level or above. As an aside, how stupid is that? Determine who gets a tool by status rather than the usefulness of the tool to the job. The rationale was that everyone has a cell phone nowadays, and incidental use for company business should not be a burden. We grumbled, but it was still a cool place to work, so most people went along. Most people, but not Bob. At first, when they collected everyone's contact number, meaning personal cell phone number, Bob gave them his desk phone number. Of course, emergency calls after hours went to voicemail. Typically, the operations center would call his home number next and usually get him. It took them a couple of on-call rotations to figure out that they didn't have his cell phone number. After a round of emails asking for it was ignored, he was summoned into the director's office and asked for it. He explained why he felt it was unfair that the company used his assets without reimbursement. He was told it would only be used for emergency incidental use and was a condition of employment. He reluctantly gave it up. Then came the malicious part. Cell phones were pretty basic at the time. Talk and text, really simple games. Most of the smarts were in the network. Bob found for an extra $2 per month his phone line could block callers or send them directly to voicemail. Bob paid the $2 and set the company's outbound caller ID number to go directly to voicemail. When Bob was not on call, he turned off the audio alert for voicemail, and the only indication was a little envelope icon on the phone screen. On call, he got the alert, but only called back if he was away from home. Otherwise, he waited for the call on his landline. He said it was the best $2 a month he had spent. I left a year later, and Bob was still enjoying his cell phone on his terms. The last story is called Clean the Fridge. We have a fridge at work. Guess who got the glorious job of keeping it clean? Yep, me. Our rules state that anything put into the fridge must have your name on the container, as well as the time you put it in. Anything that does not have a name on it, a time on it, or has been in there for longer than 48 hours must be thrown away. It doesn't even specify that condiments like ketchup are exempt. Quite literally, anything in the fridge. How are you gonna comply with this if it's something like an apple? A few things you should know about me before the start of this compliance. The style of food I eat is what most people would consider trash. For lunch, I frequently pop a can of food and eat it without heating it. As such, I rarely use the fridge, or really anything in the break room, but I get the job of keeping it clean. I really couldn't care less about what's in there, as long as it doesn't look rotten or give off an offensive odor. In addition, when there's an office party, the leftovers tend to make their way into our fridge to be slowly eaten by the employees as sort of a free lunch. It makes people happy, we eat it quick enough that nothing ever goes bad, and it's a free meal, normally. The lady I took the job over from, more like assigned it to me cause she didn't want to deal with it anymore, starts noticing more and more food ends up in the fridge and not thrown away within the assigned time period. She brings it up to me and tells me I need to clean out the fridge. I couldn't care less about the thing, and I expect you to be able to police yourself like an adult. But as it was brought to my attention, I need to take care of it. I wait till our meeting and make an announcement. Anything not in compliance with the policy will be removed from the fridge. If you have anything in there you want to keep, move it to the freezer. It will be cleaned out tomorrow. Now, normally things happen during the normal business hours, and I'm sure that's what people expected. But I don't know who eats what or when things were put in unless they are labeled, and I figure once I clean it, no longer my problem, as I did what I was asked to do. So I show up at about 6 AM or about 2 hours before everyone else. I have some stuff I have to do in the morning, so I have to show up early anyway. First thing I do when I get in, tackle the fridge. They were told yesterday to move their stuff, and nothing that's in there could have been put in there today, cause no one else had shown up yet. The fridge went from full to empty, cause apparently it was assumed I would do it at the end of the day. I'm not a savage though. Communal condiments that were not expired were left. Tupperware was washed out and left on the table while the contents were discarded. If it looked like a throwaway container, into the garbage it went. When people showed up and looked in the fridge, the expression was, "What the heck?" A lot of people were mad, including the person who told me to clean it out. Apparently I threw away one of her snacks. I explained the situation, reminded them of the instructions I had given the day before, and no one could really say anything. Shortly after that, the lady left. I went back to not giving a damn about the stupid fridge, told everyone I was going back to just spot checks and to police themselves, and no one has complained. For those of you wondering, I still check it to ensure nothing is going bad. I just don't care to throw away people's snacks like I'm supposed to. And now, it's your time to shine. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories? I hope you enjoyed today's video. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.